We are live. Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of the Electrek Podcast. I'm Fred Lambert, and as usual, I'm joined by the great Seth Weintraub. How's it going, Seth?
It's a hot here. Hot.
Yeah,
We're almost at
hot.
100 in New York.
Yeah, it's the summer is here. Seriously, here.
It's
And,
here.
it's hot. It's hot here in California too, but it's dry, so I'm not complaining. All right. This week we're gonna start as usual, as we've been doing for the last few weeks, with a quick update on the deliveries for Tesla in the second quarter, which ends in just a few days. Why is it important? It's not that important, really, on the grand scheme of things. Uh, Tesla is delivering a ton of cars either way, but of course, it's a public company. There's a very strong focus on the quarterly results, so they need to push it further every quarter, and that's what they're trying to do this quarter, especially with a shot at beating the last delivery record. And I would argue that it's important because Tesla needs to show strong financial, because they're the only companies that mainly rely on electric vehicle sales to deliver revenue. So if they can do that and then they can do it profitably, it shows the rest of an industry that's doable, and it shows a path to going all electric, which basically all automakers are reticent to doing. We're going to talk about that a little later in the podcast. But coming back to Tesla, we've been talking about for a few weeks that they were aiming to deliver 33 to 36,000 vehicles in North America in June alone. And what we learned earlier this week, they were at 22,000 as of the early last week of the quarter of June. And total for the quarter at the time was over 49,000. Again, that's just North America, because the what they're trying to beat is 90,000, but that's globally. But at the end of the quarter, we focus more on North America because it's where they can deliver cars quicker, because the factory is in California. So even though there's still going to be a few thousand in inventory that they cannot deliver because of logistic issues of moving the car around, the North American market and California especially are more important at the end of the quarter. Also, especially this quarter, because of the federal tax credit, of course, that it's being half again, and people are trying. So it's an incentive for people to try to get their delivery by the end of the quarter. So it's not just Tesla pushing for more delivery in the quarter to get better financial results. It's also customers that want to get their deliveries in order to get that $1,800 more on their tax return. However, last time that the federal tax rate was cut in half, Tesla ended up reducing their price right after. Do you think that's a possibility this time that they're going to do that again?
I don't think they're going to reduce prices. I don't think they have a lot of margin to play with at this point. But they do have the white, I guess it's just the base model, base coat. There's no pearl. There's no...
No, you mean the switch of standard color?
Yeah, the standard color is now white, but it's not the same.
Well, it's going to be white next week.
Yeah, as of... I think if you order something right... Can you order the white, not multi-coat, not pearl?
I think you can still order it right now black as a standard for the same price, because what they do is that they try to match you to an inventory car. So it's not necessarily going to be a new car that's going to be made.
Right.
But you're right, probably that they're going to start switching production now for the white. But right. I think it's still the standard color is still black right now.
So if you were going to get a white car this week, you're paying $1,000 more than you're going to be paying, without the federal tax credit as a part of the equation.
So it's potentially almost $3,000 difference from this week's to next week if you want a black Model 3.
Is it? It's $1,000.
Well, 1,800 for the total tax credit difference,
right?
And then 1,000 for the paint color.
That's right.
So it's almost 2,800. Really.
Right. The black one is going to be almost $3,000 more expensive after everything. But the white one will be $1,000. Well, so the white one that they're making doesn't exist now, but apparently the paint isn't that bad. It's just white paint. So, like if you were going to get a white car this week, you're paying $1,000 more than a white car next week.
Sort of, because you still get the multi-coat if you order it this week.
Can you
Yeah,
tell the
I went
difference in the multi-coat? Like,
and multi-coat. I could with the white one. The black one, though, the black was they didn't call it multi-coat, but it was a multi-coat paint job. Was the
wasn't it more metallic or something? The black one?
whatever? Well, no, the one I have. What was it called? On my Model 3. I'm blanking right now. I don't remember the color of my Model 3. Obsidian black. Obsidian black.
Right.
And yeah, this one I couldn't make the difference unless it was in the bright sunlight. But yeah, I went to the Tesla Burbank store this week to take delivery of a car for Scott Buscemi, who's sometimes works for us as a videographer. He ordered a Model 3 just last week, and he got a delivery this week. And he ordered it black. And when we were there was a ton of the cars, and mostly Model 3s and mostly black ones. So definitely the fact that it's the standard color, I think, and it's cheaper. I think a lot of people are going for it. It's gonna be good probably for the diversity of Tesla cars, because I mean, especially here in LA, there's Model 3s everywhere, and they're almost
black,
always
right?
black.
Yeah,
they're all black. So at least switching the standard color to white, we're gonna see more white Model 3s around, I assume, and change the scenery a bit, because literally I can go on Sunset here. Just I live just up the street from Sunset, and I can walk like 10 minutes and see like 5 Model 3s, and over half of them are going to be black.
Yeah, they're getting quite popular in New York as well. I'm in Westchester, the county north of New York City, and it's we used to see a Tesla every maybe every 30 cars or 40 cars, and now it's like kind of feels like it's like every 5. That's not true. Maybe like every 10 cars. 10,
That's probably still not true, but it's like a mind trick.
Yeah. I'm actually full of it. It's probably way, way, way less than that. But it just feels like they're everywhere now.
Yeah, it does, right? But yeah, they're gonna be everywhere, because the demand is still strong. It's still, even if they don't achieve the result, the record this quarter, Tesla's still gonna have like something like close to 60,000 cars in North America over a period of 3 months. That's pretty dang good, because I remember just a few years ago with 60,000 cars globally was in the full year was out of reach. So it's a great job here. And then if you look at Norway, sales have been pretty strong in June. They also had like almost 2,000 cars, I think, the 2 prior months of the quarter. So probably going to bring around 5,000 units from Norway. China is always a big wild card, but could also be strong if you had all the other markets together. UK, the sales started for the first time this month for the Model 3 in the UK. So if you had all that, if the deliveries, the execution was good there, Tesla still has a chance to get their record this quarter. But it's going to be a crazy weekend to do it, because especially since the last day of the quarter ends up being Sunday. And in some states, you cannot deliver cars on Sunday. Like, I don't know if it's because of the DMV or whatever restriction they have.
It's probably some old law from the church-going days. Like you can't buy booze in New York on Sunday, strangely.
No, that's not true.
It's true. Wait, maybe it's Ohio. I don't know.
Yeah, New York.
It's one of the places I've lived. Anyway,
Hong Kong, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. But so getting back to your point, why is there such a big difference between, so if Tesla sells 89,900 cars this quarter versus if they sell 91,000 cars this quarter? Because
it's the headlines. It's all in the headlines.
It's the headline, but really it's a matter of 1,000 cars.
Yeah, doesn't matter at all, other than for the headlines and for.
But that's basically what the big suspense is about, because we know it's going to be either a few below or a few above.
Yeah. It's not going to be a breakout where it's going to be like 5,000 over the record, which would have a big financial impact.
Right.
That looks extremely unlikely at this point. But though I would argue that any car that's not going to be in inventory at the end of the quarter has a significant impact for Tesla, because Tesla paid to make that car at a
Right.
significant price. And so even if 1,000 cars still has a good difference on the financial, I think.
I mean,
Especially when you're talking about an inventory of maybe like 3,000 to 5,000 cars.
I just kind of
So
feel
if
like everybody's stressing out too much about getting that record and getting like, I'm worried that like some people are getting a bad experience because they're pushing too many cars through too small a channel.
there's no
And
doubt.
I feel like build it out and slowly, naturally get the, you're not going to get the record, bummer. Like you got
Mhm.
85,000 this time. But a lot of people had a much better experience. A lot of people are going to tell their friends, "Hey, this is an awesome car and I had an awesome delivery experience." I feel like build for the long run. Like who cares about the shorts and saying, "Oh, they can't, meet demand," or anything like that. Like
I agree
just
with you. I completely agree with you. But at the same time, this quarter is a little bit different because, again, it's not just Tesla pushing for having more deliveries. It's also the consumers that they want those deliveries by the end of the
right.
quarter. So Tesla is doing everything they can. I mean, but for sure, it is affecting. Sorry, I'm getting sick here. My nose is running. Uh, I think there's definitely people are getting a bad experience. When I was there with Scott, I mean, Scott's experience was pretty good. I'd say like it took 5 minutes of paperwork. They show us the car. Though at first there was so many people taking deliveries there at the same time that they got confused with the cars. And again, a lot of the cars, they look the same too.
Right.
Scott was getting a standard plus Model 3 black with a standard 18-inch aero wheels. There was a bunch of other cars there like that. So as we go outside to find the car, that all the cars were being lined up on the side of the building, you just pull your Tesla app and make it honk, make the car honk so that we know which one is it. So Scott does it, and we see a black Model 3 honk right there. So we go to the car and we start inspecting the car, and we weren't happy about it because there was big mark of fingers on the side of the of the on the liner inside the car. And so we started looking around and everything, but and we complained to David Hamai. I think Hamai is his name. He's one of the most senior designer at Tesla under friends.
What was he doing
He's
at the shop?
all hands on deck. Everyone
Okay.
is contributing to get the delivery. So
They've got like designers out there.
yeah, I think there was a few people from the design studio there because there was a bunch of people that didn't look like retail, like they weren't like they did not
Oh,
have
you
a
should be
retail
hanging out
shirt
there
on.
looking for scoops and asking about the truck.
Yeah, well, I think that David worked on the truck too. He had a Tesla semi truck T-shirt.
No, I mean the pickup.
Oh, okay, the pickup truck, yeah. So yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, we tell him about that, and he's very apologetic. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna get that fixed. We're gonna get that fixed." But then he starts showing Scott how to use the key card on the Model 3. As you guys know, doesn't have a key fob that comes with a car. Well, you can buy one now of the Model 3, but it comes with just a key card that you put on the B pillar to unlock. And he start to try to unlock and lock the car with the car, and it doesn't work. And we start like thinking, wow, why isn't it working? It wasn't the right car.
So somebody else was hitting the honk button at the same time.
At the same time, it was the other car. So we had to switch car. So that person weren't gonna be happy because it was very dirty on the inside for the headliner. Then Scott got his own car, and we looked around. It looked pretty good. Only thing we found, there was a little ding on the fender on the passenger side, just maybe a dime size ding on it, which of course they couldn't fix right there. And they want you to take delivery as soon as possible. So
Of course,
what they tell you is just take the car home, accept delivery and everything. We know, we take picture of it and everything, and we send it to service. Take a service appointment, and they're gonna fix it for you. And next service appointment, of course, for free because it's a brand new car. So not ideal. As we were looking around the car, another customer comes by, and he's like, "Yeah, you good on you guys. Look closely like that. Like, I was looking at the wheels or something." So he's like, "Keep looking closely because I picked up my car a few weeks ago, and I'm still trying to fix a bunch of things on it." Like he wasn't happy at all about his car. He said that they had curb marks on the wheels and paint defects and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely even though Tesla will try to rush you out of there because they are pretty busy, take the time to look around the car, and most likely there won't be anything. If there's something, it won't most likely won't be a big deal, but you still need to take note right there, and tell the delivery guy, because that's how Tesla's gonna fix it for free. I just got an email from a guy who took delivery a week ago or 2 weeks ago of a Model 3 with the white seats, and on the back seat he found a tear uh, at the base of the seat in the white fake leather, vegan leather that they have. They didn't notice it right away at delivery. They noticed it like a few days later, and they told Tesla service about it, and they said just take a service appointment. We're going to fix it when you take a service appointment. But the service appointment wasn't until the 2 more weeks, so they just went to the service appointment, and as they were there, they're like, yeah, you're going to have to pay for it because it's past the 7-day inspection period.
Oh, come on.
It's like, well, yeah, I know it's past the 7 day, but we noticed it within the 7 days, but we didn't have a service appointment until now. Apparently, they didn't let him. They insisted that he pay for it.
How much did that cost?
He didn't do it.
Yeah,
He reached out to me to give him advice on how to try to bypass the service people. I mean, there's not much I can do about it. Like, I told him to reach out to support. Support can go past the service center
if you're loud enough for long enough, you'll get it.
Yeah, but
you just have to be. Yeah, no, you shouldn't have to be but it's kind of how it works. One of our other writers, Trevor, got rear-ended, and he's a pretty get the job done kind of guy, and he eventually got tested. First of all, they're saying oh, it's going to be months and months, and you got to drive it to Cleveland and all this other stuff. And he spent some time on the phone, went around a little bit, got a couple managers involved, and Tesla now just let him drive it to the nearest place, and they're taking care of the stuff and giving him a loaner, which I wasn't even sure that they still did. So it just takes some work, which sucks. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't have to.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's going to be harder for the first few weeks of Q2, because again, that weekend is going to be pretty intense, and the more intense it is, the most likely you are to have a few issues like that are going to pile up for a few weeks after a quarter. So be mindful of that in the next few weeks if you need Tesla service. All right, moving on. We reported earlier this week that Tesla lost a big name, a big executive. And now my page is not loading. I cannot pronounce his name without reading it from the page.
It's Peter.
Yeah, I could do Peter, Seth. I was looking for
Hochholdlinger. All
right. I'll let you.
Peter Hochholdlinger.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
All right, Peter. Well, my page is still not loading, but I know it by heart. I think Peter was a veteran of Audi for 20 years, and he was responsible for the full production program of several of their most popular vehicle, including the i5, i4, A4, A5, and the Q5, even maybe the Q7. Maybe not the Q7. A4, A5, and Q5. Yeah, that's 400,000 vehicles per year. That's when he was hired in 2016 at Tesla, and when he was hired, it was a big deal. Tesla made a whole press release about it. It's like, hey, we secured top talent in managing manufacturing, and he was put in charge of the Fremont factory. He was put in charge of the car seat plant also in Fremont, the casting site in Latrobe, even the Tilburg factory for the final assembly of the Model S and X in Europe. So he was the new top production guy at Tesla, along with Gilbert Passin, who at the time was still at Tesla. Now he left last year, but they were the two manufacturing executives there. We learned from a source. We got a tip earlier the week before that Peter left, and earlier this week we managed to confirm it with a second source. So we did post it. Tesla refused to comment about it. They didn't say anything. So we don't know what's the plan to replace him, if there's one. Late last year, we did report that Tesla hired a guy named Brett Brugman. Brugman, I think is his name. Uh, and his title was Vice President of Production at Fremont plant. So at the time we reached out to Tesla, it's like, hey, that's seems like a high position. Tesla manufacturing almost looks like it's replacing um, Peter Oshholdinger. And Tesla said, no, Peter is still at Tesla. At the time, they said he's still at Tesla, and he's not Brugman is not replacing him. So I don't know how he plays into the picture right now, but we know that Oshholdinger is out of the picture at Tesla. He quit.
I think from a PR point, Tesla doesn't want us to get attached to too many names. Just generally speaking, like people are coming and going at a kind of a rapid pace, which is doesn't sound great, but maybe that's just how things go in Silicon Valley, or in the auto industry. But it just seems.
I mean, overall, that was a 20-year veteran of Audi.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's jumping around from one company to another. He went 20 years at Audi, and he did 3 at Tesla.
Yeah, no, that's true. But it just seems like from a public relations standpoint, they are a lot less likely to talk about executives coming and going than they have been in the past, and I think that is due to a lot of publicity around high profile comings and goings, for better or worse.
Sorry, I lost you for a minute.
All right, we're back. Yeah.
Can you
I see
hear
the
me?
live sign. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
you. I lost you for about a minute or so. I'm not sure what you said about about that.
All right. Hopefully we weren't talking over each other. I
let you talk. I could still hear you a little bit. Thing that you said, but not the whole thing. But yeah, I understand now that you were talking about like they don't want to keep stay too attached with them. That's why they're not commenting on it on PR. They don't want to make a big deal of it. I mean, I got a bunch of flack from Tesla fans, especially on the Tesla subreddit. But on the subreddit, they are completely irrational about anything that can be portrayed as negative for Tesla. I literally get people telling me there, you shouldn't post anything that can be portrayed as negative on Tesla because it's going to make a bigger deal about other publications. Stuff like that. It doesn't work like that. I don't write on Electrek for readers of other publication. I write for the readers of Electrek. I want them to have the information. I want them to have all the details to form their own opinion on it. And if they don't have an opinion on it, they can read mine also, which is clearly separated from the facts in the article. So, but I got a ton of flack on this one saying, "Oh, Peter Oshholdinger wasn't a big deal at Tesla. It's not important that he left." I mean, Tesla, when he came in, they sent out the press release to all the press. They wanted the press to report about it. They wanted everyone to know, we got this guy. He's working at Tesla now. So I think it's only fair that we report when he leaves. And I think it would have been good for Tesla to do comment on it, say what happened there, if they can. They didn't. All right. We reported also on a new release. And Summon, we've been talking about it for weeks. It's about a month late at this point. It's been in the early access program, which the program has been expanding. So the release of the Enhanced Summon has been expanding too, but it's still not available to the wider fleet. I don't have it. I don't know about you, but I don't have it. But in Canada, we get all the Summon feature later because there's some issues with the car moving. There's some issues with the regulators when it comes to the car moving without anyone inside, which is what the Summon does. And hence Summon does it with an even longer distance instead of being like 20 feet or so, 30 feet, I think is sort of the current one. Though in Canada, it's like 5 feet or something. It's ridiculous. The hand Summon goes over to 150 feet. So what Tesla released this week to the early access owners when it comes to hand summon is a new standby mode within the hand summon. What it does is that when you're not in the car, the summon stays active with all the sensors, the computers, and everything in order to reduce the delay time between activating the summons and the car getting to you. So from what I hear from people in the early access program, one of the biggest problem with summon, enhanced summon, I should say, is that it is slow, like really slow. However, I thought that what he meant, and what I've seen with a bunch of demos and everything like that, is that it's slow when it starts moving towards you. It's moved very slowly. It's very careful not to hit anything in the parking lot, not to hit anyone in the parking lot, which obviously is a good thing. But it is very slow. So this doesn't address that. This address the slow time, the delay between starting the feature and the feature that the car actually making the decisions and starting to move on its own. I guess that was also a delay there, but I don't think that was a bigger part of the slow um, movement of enhanced autopilot, enhanced summon. But it's there. It's now. Although it's gonna, of course, increase energy consumption if you do it. So keep that in mind. It's not gonna work if you have less than 20% battery capacity in your car. All right. Tesla Roadster. Not as fast as we thought it would be.
No, what happened?
Yeah. So there's been a debate about that, if Elon made a mistake or he didn't. I don't think he made a mistake, because we asked him to clarify if he did, and a bunch of other people asked him to, and it's been over a day now, and he has kept tweeting since, and he didn't delete the comment or anything like that. So I think that's true. Like, again, I got you a bunch of flack on Reddit for posting that too, but people assume that he made a mistake. Again, instead, I assume that he meant what he said, which I think is the safer assumption here. What he said is that the 1.9 second, the base Model 3, base new Roadster, the base new Roadster, gonna get 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.1 second. To get the faster time, which was previously advertised at 1.9 second, you're gonna need the rocket thruster. You call it the rocket thruster, but it's of course the cold air thruster and the SpaceX package that we talked about before. That sounds just
Which is crazy for a couple of reasons. One, we're talking about rocket thrusters on cars like it's like a normal thing. Two, like 2.1 seconds 0 to 60 is like almost like damage. Like you're gonna hurt your neck and you're gonna hurt people that are just gonna get whiplash. So, and 1.9 seconds to 2.1 seconds is not a big deal. But if you're gonna throw out those figures, you got to back them up. And him kind of just walking it back with a tweet doesn't really work out really well.
Because originally at the unveiling, he said 1.9 was for the base version, and they expect to have a higher end version that do better than that. He even said that that's what we are achieving right now, which I took to say that's what they are achieving right now in the prototype that they have, and they did 0 to 60 miles per hour acceleration with the prototype, and you were in one when they did that. And
yeah, I didn't have my stopwatch, but
do you remember them saying anything about the time, or they just launched you? And
I'd have to go back to the video because it was all recorded, but I don't remember them saying anything specifically about 2.1 seconds.
The 1.9. At that time, people were talking about 1.9. So where there was some confusion is the fact that Tesla has been also using the 2.9 figure, but for the 0 to 100 kilometer an hour, which is not the same as 0 to 60 miles per hour. It's closer to 0 to 62 miles per hour. So people thought that he may have misspoken. But we reached out. We said, do you mean 100 kilometer an hour or 62 miles per hour? And he didn't respond, and he didn't change his tweet. And he was asked by a bunch of people, and he hasn't corrected it. So I assume that. And he also says like that's without the base thruster. So I assume that it means it's going to be faster with the thruster. So I think it's correct, and it makes some sense too, because I also wasn't sure, like the 2.2 miles per hour difference. And it takes 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right.
At that speed, like I get it if you're going maybe like 2.5 to 2.7 for the 2 miles per hour difference. But when you're already at 1.9 seconds for 60 miles per hour, the other 2 miles per hour doesn't make sense. It's take 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a rounding error at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, so who cares at the end of the day? The car is going to be insanely fast. Either way, it's just
I guess bragging rights, right? You want to be able to
Yeah,
say,
probably, and I thought it was like a psychological barrier, to, like I think if you get under 2 seconds, there's something like it's a little like the quarter mile. If you can get a car in the 10 seconds with a quarter mile, it has there's an appeal to it. I thought it was the same for 0 to 60 under 2 seconds, but at the end of the day, who cares?
right?
Also, this car, I don't think is nowhere near ready to production. They've been talking about 2020, but with what Elon has been saying the last few months, and it's not a priority, then the car doesn't appear on the product roadmap at all. I'm starting to think 2020 is going to be hard, probably more 2021.
Yeah, easily.
But I like to remind Tesla that when you take money from customers, uh, reservation like that, you should try to stick to your timeline. They say it's not a priority and whatnot. I agree on the grand scheme. I think the Model Y, the pickup truck should definitely be higher than priority, but you should have thought about that before taking.
And it's not just any amount of money. It's $250,000 from
Some people did put down 250,000. That's correct. And other people, and even if you didn't, it was $50,000.
Right, which is still a lot of money. Probably not for the people buying these things, but like,
I think it's a lot of money for basically anyone.
yeah, okay, but it's still,
Yeah. They are millionaires, of course. So it's not like you shouldn't cry for them, but still, if you took some money, you should try to respect the timeline. Moving on to battery fire. Tesla today sent out a statement via their Weibo official Weibo account in China to comment about the battery fire from a Model S that caught on fire on its own in the garage in Shanghai in April earlier this year. So that's kind of rare from Tesla to just offer the information out there like that. Normally, we have to press them to get update on the investigations and things like that, especially when it comes to fires. Tesla doesn't like to talk about fires. Their cars, they don't catch on fires, or at least not at the rate of gasoline car. So they don't talk about it. They did offer the information directly to their social media. Why? Because there's been a lot of pressure, especially in China, about electric vehicle battery fires. Following this event that was extremely publicized in China due to the fact that it was caught on camera. You can see the car in the garage catching on fire. And of course, the whole Tesla community went conspiracy theorists on it, like, oh, it's the short, they're setting the car on fire or something like that. The cars can catch on fire, people. It's not just always a conspiracy. And at the same time that this happened, there was a bunch of NIO ES8 SUVs that also caught on fire. And last week, the Chinese government sent out a request to the automakers saying that they need to investigate and report details about what they're doing to prevent battery fires in their electric vehicles. And they especially mentioned the incident with NIO and the incident with Tesla. So what happened last week, NIO ended up recalling actually their SUVs, or at least a big batch of them, about 5,000 of them. And Tesla didn't do any recall, but they did, I assume, due that government pressure, release that statement regarding the Shanghai battery fire. What they said is that they did release vague result of a preliminary investigation that found that it originated from a single battery module. That's what they said. Single battery module. And they said that a joint investigation with Chinese and American expert didn't find that the system had any defect. But they found the cause to be a battery module at the front of the car. I mean, so I think what they mean is that there's no like defect, consistent defect across, like it's not a design defect. It's just something bad that happened to one single battery module. They didn't say what happened to that battery module. I mean, the battery module is not supposed to catch on fire on its own, so this is something that happened, but they don't go into details like that. It just said that it's one single battery module that was a problem. Then they reiterated their point that gasoline vehicles catch on fires 10 times more likely to catch on fires than a Tesla vehicle, which, I mean, I guess statistically it's probably correct, but That's based on the overall gasoline car fires, which includes, I think, most of the gasoline cars that catch on fires are without accident are like older vehicles, like much older vehicles. I mean, the average gasoline car on the road is much older than the Tesla vehicle on the road. I mean, Tesla delivered last year more cars that they delivered on in their entire history before that. So that means that the average Tesla vehicle is less than 2 years old at this point. So, and there's been a bunch of fires lately this year in the first few months of the year regarding Tesla vehicles that didn't weren't involved in any impact. They just caught on fire on their own. I mean, we've seen 6 examples of that this year. Is it statistically worrying? There are hundreds of thousands of Tesla out there now, so I don't know, but I feel like it's a lot. It's a lot for the number of cars. I don't care when a Tesla catch on fires after eating, like slamming into a brick wall. That's gonna happen with any car. But when the car is just sitting on its own and it just catches on fire, it's a little bit more worrying. It should be investigated. It was in this case. I'm not sure I'm completely satisfied with the result of the. They call it the preliminary investigation, so I assume that's going to be further investigated. But yeah, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I always wonder if something happened. I mean, in this case, it doesn't seem like that's the case, but I always wonder if like something happened on the road earlier and started a slow reaction that takes maybe a couple minutes to an hour. So like maybe this guy got. It's not the case, but in some case, a person could have hit something on the road, got back to their garage. A slow reaction was starting to happen as the, the car crumpled underneath, and then some of the batteries could have gotten started reacting, and then had a fire in a garage instead of what seems to have been just a bad battery or bad pack
Module.
module. So it's weird because like, how could would did the module short, or did the one of the batteries in the module short, or I, I still don't
They
quite understand.
really not a lot of information right now. It's
Right,
not. I think they felt forced to release that statement due to the situation right now. Like
right.
Neo was seen as more proactive with their recall, maybe, and they were like, "Hey, we need to put something out there," and they definitely don't want to recall the car. So, um, anyway, we'll see if they release more. I mean, you're right that sometimes it's something weird that happened with a car. Like if you, because I mean, visibly the car wasn't a hit, wasn't in an accident, but maybe something underneath, like they ran over or something. I mean, the best example, of course, is we reported that last year. You can check it, like try to find it on Electrek. Just say search like Electrek Tesla bullet battery fire or something like that, where we uncovered a old court case. Well, old court case, not that old, but like in 2015, if I remember, something like that, maybe 2016, where a Tesla owner sued Tesla because his car caught on fire, a battery fire. Tesla didn't want to pay anything. A brand new car too, brand new. So that's why you assume that the guy files a lawsuit against a company when your brand new car catches on fire. Tesla refused to pay because they investigated the car and they found a bullet in the battery pack. So they say that someone inside the car fired a bullet in the car toward the bottom, hitting the battery pack, which led to the car fire. So you never know. Yeah, sometimes there's definitely weird things that happen that are definitely not Tesla's fault. I mean, I don't think you can fault Tesla for not having a bulletproof battery pack, at least not from the inside of the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wasn't it somewhere like Georgia or Florida or something where
No, actually,
firearm
I don't
terminal?
think so. I think it was the Northeast.
Oh man,
I want
even
to say
worse.
Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or something like that. I might be wrong. I don't remember. It's been we posted that last year, but yeah, it was an interesting case. I was flabbergasted by like how does that happen, especially a brand new car. But then I got scolded by my colleagues in America, where gun lovers would say, "Ah, accidental firing of a gun happens all the time." But okay, I get that if you're cleaning the gun or something and then you misfire, but inside a car. So what we like, they were going somewhere, they were cleaning their car, their guns, the back seat or something. Anyway, I don't know. Just a little fun side note on that. Yeah, you can go read the post on that. It's worth the read. It's pretty fascinating. All right. Um, let's go back to some more better news, more positive news. We are getting a report from CNBC this week that mentioned that Tesla is building equipment, doing some shop work at the Cato facility, which is just about a mile south of the Fremont factory, where they are developing their own cells in house and the equipment to manufacture those cells. At they call it a secret battery lab. I don't think that's really that secret, but because we've heard about this battery lab in Fremont for quite a few years now. It's just that it sounds like now they are developing their own cells in it, not just cells to be made, not just a chemistry for cells to be made by Panasonic, but cells to be made in-house with special equipment developed in-house. So that's something that we've been talking about for the last few weeks since the shareholder meeting, where we think that a lot of people just looked over that. There was a bunch of comments by Elon, by JB, and by Drew Bagnino, the VP of Technology. Each of them made statement that all but confirmed the fact that Tesla plans to make their own cells and not rely on Panasonic anymore. And something to be announced later this year at that what do you call it, the battery and powertrain investor
Investor Day.
day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
then
everything's pointing in that direction.
it's a big deal. When they said that earlier this month, we made a whole article about it, and I don't think it was picked up by many, especially mainstream media, didn't pick it up at all. Even most of the sites didn't pick it up at all. Most of the EV sites. So I'm glad that CNBC now is on board with that report. That report came out from CNBC, and it got picked up a lot more after that. So I think it's a big deal because you need to be involved throughout, vertically integrated into the cell production, because that's where it starts. You need to secure the cell volume to be able to secure the battery pack volume to be able to secure to produce electric vehicle in mass. And right now, we've seen Tesla do it intricately with Panasonic to the Gigafactory one. But other than that, I mean, Nissan at one point, when they had their own battery manufacturing firm, they looked like they were going that road, but then they sort of gave up on their own battery chemistry and their own manufacturing, where they realized that they got passed by with like the Panasonic and the LG Chem of this world. So they gave up on that. So now it looks that after Tesla, probably Volkswagen is the most involved in battery cell supply. Um, Especially now that they invested in Nordvolt and they plan to have their own factory with Nordvolt. So they're gonna buy the own part of Nordvolt and they're gonna get some supply from Nordvolt's factory, and they're gonna make their own factory with Nordvolt. So it's gonna be a deal similar to Tesla has with Panasonic, I think.
Yeah. It seems like Volkswagen's vying to be like the number two EV manufacturer in the world. The Volkswagen Group with all their sub brands, including
Yeah,
Audi and Porsche.
they're talking 3 million cars, all electric cars by 2025. That's a lot.
Yeah, and those numbers, those production numbers, they've long said that they want to be leaders in the EV space. So the saying it and doing it are two different things, but they seem to be kind of making the moves.
They're starting this year. They have the e-tron now. They're gonna have the ID3 later this year. I think it's gonna. We need to stop laughing and just laugh it off. I'll just it's another press release from Volkswagen. I think they're really investing in the production
Right.
capacity now.
And
It's gonna
then,
be
of course,
interesting the next
the
year or so.
Porsche Taycan's obviously very exciting too.
Yeah, that's also coming in September. Yeah. All right, Jaguar. Um, Jaguar is having some trouble saying the high pace. Let's be honest about it. They sell only about 200 units a month in the US, not a lot. Yeah, they've been doing better in some European markets. Sorry, so it's not that bad globally, but in the US, it's not going strong. So they try a new effort to advertise the high pace to, and I think this is a mistake, Tesla owners, especially the Model X owners. So a bunch of Model X owners have been reporting. So maybe you're gonna get one of the mailers in the mail. I don't know how they do it, how they target them, and they send mailers in the mail uh, with brochures of the iPace to advertise the car, especially to Model X owners. So I guess there's ways to figure out that someone is a Model X owner other than Tesla selling the information, like based on if you answer a survey or something like that, or maybe they get access to registration information and things like that. I don't know how they do it, but they did target Tesla owners, and in that brochure, they specifically compare the iPace to the Model X in a comparison that I think is unfair. Well, and before people like say that, oh, I'm trashing the iPace and all that, go see my review of the iPace. I like the car. The car, I'm in love with the design of the car. It's beautiful.
I notice you're
It's
saying
fun to
car,
drive.
not SUV.
Yes, keyword here is car.
Right.
What I don't like is that they are trying to sell that as an SUV, which I don't think it's an SUV, especially not a full size SUV like a Model X. I mean, I think it has like 50% of the cargo capacity of the Model X. So, and an SUV, it's a utility vehicle. So the cargo is important. It's an important part of what makes the SUV. Anyway, uh, I had some issue with the cars other than the marketing as an SUV too. The user interface had a lot of bugs and issues with it that they say that they're gonna fix through software update, which is good. I'd be willing to give it another shot after those updates, and I think they already pushed some of those updates. So maybe it's already fine. So I do like the car. I just don't think they should compare it to the Model X. It's much more than the Model X. It is cheaper, so that's good, but it's cheaper also because it is smaller. It started at $70,000 versus $81,000 for the Model X, and of course you get the full tax credit because Jaguar is still very low in EV deliveries in the US, so they're still gonna have the 7,500 for a long time. So they say that the effective base price on the brochure, it's $63,000 versus $78,000. So yeah, it's a big difference, but it's a big difference because it is a much smaller cars with a lot less cargo, which of course they don't put that in the brochure. They're also misleading on the range. They said it has an estimated range of 234 miles for the iPace versus 250 miles for the Model X standard range, which is a new version of the Model X that they um, put out a few months ago when they changed all the pricing and they did the new Raven motor and everything like that. That standard range Model X is actually listed at 255 EPA range, not 250, and they use the EPA range for the high pace at 234. So I don't know where they're getting that 250 miles figure, but it's not true. Of course, also omit to put in the brochure things like the charging rate, which is much higher for the especially the new Model X. Now it's 200 kilowatts versus 100 for the iPace.
Right.
That,
And like you mentioned before, the cargo space is like the huge
yeah,
differentiator. I mean, you
you
even
get a
have a
good
third
seat.
row seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not comparable at all. I don't know why they try to make the comparison because it's not a good comparison at all. And I think they are shooting themselves in the foot doing it. They're, you shouldn't try to steal market shares from Tesla. If that's your whole plan, we bring the high pace to the US market to steal market shares from Tesla with the Model X, you're going to have a tough time selling that car. Instead, they should focus on just how beautiful it is, how fun to drive it is, and just go after some kind of higher end sedan and things like that. Gasoline cars, good. Try to steal market shares from gasoline car. Much easier to do than steal market share from Tesla. Much easier to do because gasoline cars sucks. But yeah, so I think their money would be much better spent with some advertising, showcasing just incredible design, the way it looks, and how fun it is to drive, than trying to pin it against the Model X, which not the first time that they did that, by the way. When they launched their car last year, they also released like a drag racing video against the Model X, against a now discontinued version of the Model X too. So
Yeah.
to
It's
be
clear
fair, it's
that
still faster.
it's
Technically,
clear.
still faster.
It's clear their marketing department has, I think like on a very high level, Jaguar is very threatened by Tesla because, they both compete in the luxury car game. And it feels like their marketing on a very high level has targeted Tesla owners as possible iPace customers,
Mm-hmm.
which may or may not be true. I don't think it's true personally. And I don't think you think it's true either. I think that I
To be
agree with
fair,
you.
there are a few people I know that did end up switching Model X to Jaguar. They did, but
Yeah.
like a handful, I think.
Are they happy?
I know one that is definitely not happy, and the other, for the most part, are. But it's not. It's people that like they don't do road trips or anything like that. Because if you don't want to do long distance,
Yeah,
so much easier with the Model X than it is with the I-Pace. But if you're
yeah,
just doing like city driving and it's like you move your kids around, you go to your soccer games, and then you go to grocery store, you're gonna have no issue with the I-Pace.
yeah. I loved it too, and we got to go on some like off roading, and I was like, hey, I don't know if I would take a Tesla on this part of the roads, and so I was impressed with that as well. I think it's a great car. I think a lot of
Beautiful.
people would buy it. I just don't think Tesla owners are the right market to go after.
It's a tougher market to go after because you're going after happy customers for the most part.
Right.
So if you go like you want to exchange your Model X versus this beautiful Jaguar, it's like, man, I'm not even Model X. I mean, you're gonna have a tougher sell than going after some um, fossil fuel burning cars. All right, here's another fun one. Lightyear solar car. We've been following this project for a few years now because the team that was working on it was an interesting team. They came out of the solar challenge. I think you're a big fan of that challenge too, right, Seth?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
actually Electrek sponsors the U.S. version of that, so
yeah, yeah. That's
big
they were
fans.
the winners of the Australian version of it. I
Yep.
think we're talking about the Henhoven team.
No,
Henhoven? No, how do
I
you
have no
pronounce that?
idea.
No, okay. It's a university in the Netherlands. The team has won the Solar Challenge in Australia a few years in a row, or they did one a few years with they call it the Stella, and then they upgraded it to the Stella Lux. They call it an energy positive solar car because it's so efficient that the solar panels, it has solar panels and the battery pack, of course, but you don't need to charge a battery pack with an external power because the car is so efficient that the solar panels that it has on it produce enough energy to uh, propel the car forward and do what it needs to do in the parameters of the specific challenge. Which I think it's over 1,000 miles that they have to travel with the car, so it's pretty extensive challenge.
Yeah,
However, it's a school challenge. So the car is not street legal. It doesn't have all the security safety features that you're gonna find in a road car. Doesn't have the convenience to all the comfort feature that you find in modern cars today. So it's a very very light vehicle. You had all those features, and then the car is not as efficient, of course, and you cannot have that energy positive car. What they wanted to do when they launched the startup Lightyear, it's called, and the car that they unveiled this week is the Lightyear One, is they wanted to produce a car with all their learnings from making a hyper efficient solar car and try to stay as close to that, but with adding all the necessary safety features and comfort features to have in a consumer vehicle, street legal consumer vehicle. And they claim to have done it. They unveiled that car in the Netherlands this week. Unveil a design that, you know what it reminds me of? The One XL Volkswagen. What was it called? Was it the One XL? The
I was
super
thinking like an
efficient.
Audi fastback a little bit.
Really?
I mean, not a lot, just kind of reminiscent of a fastback. But I think I know what you're talking about. There is an older Volkswagen with that
Well,
shape.
I'm especially reminded of that because of the XL one, the rear wheel cover. The car has a rear wheel cover. So yeah, the XL1, which was a briefly sold electric car, which only had 50 miles of range. No, 50 kilometers of range. Excuse me. It also okay, it was a plug-in hybrid, right? This is not a plug-in hybrid. This is
Nope.
also has only a small battery pack, but that battery pack is not only charge. You can charge it, of course, on level 2 and on level 3 too, up to 60 kilowatts, I think.
Wait, how much? You said a small battery pack. I thought the battery pack was like 60 kilowatts
No, no,
hours.
no, I don't think so.
Oh,
It is an
because
hyper efficient car too. They make it very efficient. All right. They didn't release that many specs. They did release a range which they claim to be 450 miles. That's 725 kilometers. That's on the WLTP standard. So it's probably going to be lower than that, but it's still extremely long range. But part of that long range is rely on the fact that the car recharges itself through solar cells on the top, which they say it can charge at the rate of 12 kilometers an hour, which is a lot. Doesn't sound like a lot because if you charge you charge as a supercharger now, and you can charge at 1,000 miles per hour. But for just the roof surface, and actually there's also solar panels on the hood and the back. But for that surface, that's a lot. And they say that they achieved that through solar cells that are 25% more efficient. Surprising. But still, the main way to power the car is the battery pack, and it's charging the battery pack externally using level 2 charger at up to 22 kilowatts and level 3 charger up to 60 kilowatts. So it doesn't have a very high charge rate for a new car coming out in 2021. They said it's coming out. So cars right now, there's nothing coming out at almost nothing coming out at less than 100 kilowatts. But still a very interesting car because imagine that well, we still need to verify their claim, but assuming that their claims are true, you can charge at 12 kilometers per hour just with a solar cell. Imagine that you have a 30-kilometer commute to work and you park your car outside at work, which is a pretty common thing, 30 kilometers of commute. So you do your commute, you leave your car outside, your car recharge what you did during the commute, and even more really during the time you're at work. You come out of work at night, you drive back home, and you never have to charge your car if that's all you do with your car, because the sun is going to power back your battery pack, again, if it's true. They're talking about 20,000 kilometers a year that could get. That's probably optimal. And again, I don't think that having solar cells on the roof of your car is the most optimal thing. I think your roof of their house is probably a more optimal place to have solar cells on, and then you can still charge your car with that solar power. So, which brings us really to the price of the car.
Yeah, quite expensive.
Yeah, 150,000 euros, 170,000 US dollars. At that price, and the car looks cool. The car looks like, but I don't know if it looks like $150,000 car. So I feel like you can easily buy a nice Tesla Model S for that. It's going to be much bigger than that too. So let's say instead of more comparable to Model 3, maybe you're going to get a Tesla Model 3. You're going to get probably better like comfort feature and everything. Let's say you put everything in it and it costs you like $60,000. With $40,000, you can get a very, very nice solar system. You have a very big one, like 9 or 10 kilowatts, right?
12.
12
13,
kilowatts.
Almost 13.
Almost 13 kilowatts, and it costs you way less than $40,000.
So before incentives, it was about $40,000, and then 30% federal, and another like 30%, 20 something percent state, NYSERDA. So after it was all said and done, I was paid under 20,000.
Let's say more realistically 30,000 for depending on the incentive.
Yep.
So let's say without incentive, $40,000 then. So you add up to $100,000. You have a solar system that's gonna power your car and your house, and you still have $70,000 left in your pockets. So it might not be a very good solution, realistically. However, I still think it's an interesting project by itself. I think that some people are going to find the appeal to it because there's something really appealing about your car producing its own energy. I think there's something like almost romantic about that idea where you can just like total freedom. You can just drive everywhere and without ever having to charge your car. I think that's interesting on its own. And it might also push if they really had some positive technological development in terms of solar cells on cars with that project. Maybe it's going to lead to maybe more convenient vehicle like Tesla's vehicle, like other vehicles putting solar cells on the car. We've seen the Prius do it a little bit. We've seen Fisker do it too. So yeah, now
Yeah,
Karma.
yeah. Hyundai's
Maybe.
got one as well.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Is it on
Or
the car
Kia.
already?
It's on some.
I know that Hyundai they did unveil a pretty cool system for that, but I'm not sure if it's on cars yet.
Yeah, and
But it is interesting. Yep.
Ford actually has one where they concentrate. They have like in your a garage, it's a solar concentrator, which is basically like a magnifying glass that takes a whole bunch of electricity and puts it right on your roof. Obviously, that could turn out really bad in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you don't want to
But
walk under that.
no, but this is it's a great idea, but you also lose like the rear window, and you also lose any kind of sunroof or anything like that. I kind of wish there would be, like a halfway solution. Like, it's actually kind of surprising at this point that Tesla doesn't have a solar hood that you can put on your Model 3 or your Model S or whatever,
Mhm.
for an extra, $500 or I'm sure Tesla would charge, whatever. But, you know, just so when you're at the airport for a week and you're in the sun or even like some shade, your vampire drain is not negative. You would actually make a few miles
Yeah, a
if
hood
you're.
would probably be enough for that. You think?
Yeah, I think so. I
Hmm.
mean, you probably get 300 watts up there, and maybe like, well, in California you get like 10 hours or so. You get 3 kilowatt hours a day. You could actually get a few miles as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know what would be
so
very cool though?
what's
And
that?
Elon did a hint at that, doing that at some point too. Deployable solar cells. When you park your car, you get something that deploys out of your car, and you just
Oh, right,
pull it out, and it's
a
basically
big
like
fan,
uh, a carport, like a portable carport that stays on
right?
that covers your car, so it protects your car at the same time as producing energy for it. That'd be super cool. So if it's super easy to deploy, it might be convenient enough to just if you park at work to just do the same thing. So again, you get the same impact of the Lightyear, but without any or almost any change to the design because it's still going to be like the way it's going to deploy, going to have some impact, but can probably get a lot more energy out of it too, right? If you can deploy the
Oh
entire
yeah,
length of the car, like a whole carport, like a mini carport, that's just the height of the car, or maybe like just a little bit higher,
yeah,
that'd be super cool.
yeah.
I'd buy.
And it should be also noted that these solar challenges is where Tesla got a lot of its early engineers. Uh,
Correct.
these are the guys who are focusing a lot of energy on efficiency, like low rolling resistance tires, aerodynamics, um, motor components, and that's kind of that Tesla's big lead right now is how many miles it can get out of a certain battery pack and a certain motor.
That's a good point.
So these are these projects that are happening, even if they don't become best selling products, they lead to efficiencies that make everything better. So this thing should definitely be applauded, and I'm actually kind of excited to
Mhm.
see what happens to it.
Yeah. Imagine if you have like a Model X that does that, and then you carry like a camper, you tow a camper with your
Oh,
Model
that'd be
X,
great.
and then you go camping, and then you deploy that. You keep your Model X there, and then you get some e-bikes out of your campers, and then you go around during the day with your e-bikes. You come back, your car is fully charged with this solar canopy that deploys out of it. Maybe you have a few more solar panels on top of your campers too, and you live a truly zero emission lifestyle.
It's pretty
That'd
good.
be
Pretty
awesome.
good. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's already 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock at your place, but do you have some times to just discuss real quick the BMW thing that happened this week?
Yes.
All right.
Let's talk BMW.
So what happened this week is that BMW had this event called something next. They call everything next at BMW. Everything is iNext. Everything is something next. So they have the next gen whatever event in Munich this week. My article is again not uploading, but what it was they claimed that they were accelerating their electrification plan with their 25, 20, was it 25 electric vehicles? Electrified vehicles, sorry. Electrified is the key word here. Electrified vehicle, instead in 2025, it's going to be in 2023. So they accelerated their plan like 2 years, and they make a big deal out of it. at the same time, they unveiled a few concept EVs. Yeah, 25 electrified models in 2023 instead of 2025. And they unveiled the MNex, which is basically like some kind of next gen i8, where it looks more futuristic, but it's very much the same segment. However, it has a longer range, but it's still a plug-in hybrid. I'd
Yeah.
like to think that if you make a next gen i8, you make it all electric. I cannot believe that they unveil a concept car in 2019 for a vehicle that maybe never gonna end up anything, but if it does, it's gonna be in a few years down the road. And it's not even all electric; it's a plug-in hybrid. So very disappointing with that.
Yeah, I mean
Looks
this
cool.
this is a good example of kind of the civil war going on at BMW, where you've got the the future's electric people, and you've got the like
Old guard.
we are leaders in gasoline powered cars. We don't have the leadership in electric cars. We should focus on gasoline, and I can feel that like battle going on externally, and these cars kind of show it. Like, why in the world would you make this beautiful car powered, you know, a lot on electric, but why would you even put a gas engine in it? Makes no sense at all.
Yeah, and it wasn't the only one. They also unveiled the BMW Motorrad Vision DC Roadster, which is a Motorrad is a motorcycle. Didn't reveal much specs about it. Much of people don't know that BMW is actually a big motorcycle manufacturer, big scooter manufacturer, but not big scooter manufacturer. They have like one or two models with very high end models, but they're a big motorcycles manufacturer, especially in Europe. They have decent market shares, and they don't have an electric motorcycle yet. They did unveil it. Do you remember a few years back when they had this all electric motorcycle that was self balancing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they unveiled that. That was a concept, of course. Still hasn't made it to market. Now they unveiled this one with no plans to make it to market either. So,
Did you
not a
notice
big deal.
that one has an axle instead of a chain or a belt?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, if you look at the bike
Oh
picture
yeah,
closely,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of an interesting idea. Probably not a great one, but interesting
Looks
nonetheless.
cool. It looks cool for sure.
Yeah.
But there's no not much specs revealed or anything like that, so it wasn't that exciting. They had another one though, another concept that's clearly not a car that's gonna make it to market. It's more like a test bed for all their fifth gen electric technology in it. They're like cramming a bunch of things they're testing inside, including a tri-motor electric motor prototype drivetrain. So three different motors that can output 10,000 newton metric ton of torque. New, I can never pronounce that.
Newton
10
meters.
Newton meters ton of pound of torque. I should say not tons. 10,000 pounds of torque. Yeah, and the three motors configuration, much like the next gen Tesla Roadster three motor configuration, for they say 530 kilowatts of power, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. So, not sure exactly what that means.
Comfortably under 3 seconds.
Company.
This car kind of reminds me of that Schaeffler uh, Audi they made
Yeah.
with Formula One engines, motors. Sorry,
Which,
Formula E
yeah,
motors.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and just kind of like a nutty sedan uh, that they'll never produce, but like it's got basically the same motor configuration as the Tesla Roadster with two big motors in the back and a same motor up in front. Uh, it seems like a crazy like I think CNET got an exclusive and interviewed the guy, and they said it's got as much torque as three semis.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, electric motors have crazy amount of torque. Yeah, they
right.
put that in the 5 Series. So yeah, it's much like the what Audi did with Schaefer with the, I think it was an A4 that they used. The BMW did the same thing with putting all their latest technology, electric technology, in that vehicle. But again, that's not going to market. It's just testing their fifth gen technology. All right, while BMW was saying all that, I was having that event and something like that. They also had some roundtables with journalists and things like that in Munich. And one of their top executive, Klaus Frolick, he's the head of development at BMW, was saying to a group of journalists that he doesn't think that there's any demand for BEVs, for all electric vehicles, especially in Europe. He was saying. He said that consumer demand doesn't exist for electric vehicles. That what's driving demand for electric vehicles is regulation, and that's it. He said that there are no customer requests for BEVs, none. There are regulatory requests for BEVs, but no customers requests.
Well, I
So
mean,
how far?
there's probably not
How
a lot
far?
of requests for the i3, but
Yeah. Well,
sorry.
I don't know. I don't know how to interpret that. Does it mean that like, it doesn't see that much demand for the existing BEVs, or does he doesn't see like people asking for new cars all electric? Either
I
way,
don't know.
it doesn't make sense. Either way, it doesn't make
Right.
sense. So I don't even know why I'm asking that question because of course there's demand for it. There's just not demand for uncompelling electric cars. Which, sorry, BMW i3 owners out there, but that's what BMW has been producing so far. It's not
Yeah.
that bad, I think, but it's just. I mean, when I think, right,
It was actually a great car 5 years ago when it came
yeah,
out. They just
they
haven't
they
done
have been updating the battery pack to
a little
a
bit.
decent rate. Yeah, so it's not that bad. But I mean, when I look at BMW 3 Series, such a great car, they should just electrify that instead than make the high tree, in my opinion. That's just what I'm saying. So it's not that compelling of an offer. And it's more expensive than the 3 Series too. I think it started at 40,000 the i3. I think.
Yeah, but they discount
Yeah, you
like
can really.
crazy.
Um, yeah, so I think he has his head completely buried in the sand. If one is gonna come first, right? Either they're gonna mass produce electric cars to a point where it's compelling, it's a compelling car that is at a decent price, and to achieve that decent price, you need to mass produce it. Now, either they do that first, and then they get a market share of the electric market, the demand for electric car, which is there. It's just that there's not that many options out there, or somebody else does it and shows that there's demand for it, and then they are late to the game, which I think is already happening with the Model 3. That's just show that you can have a mass volume, a high volume production electric vehicle program, and people are going to buy it. So there's no excuse right now for saying what he says. Like, unless he's completely he doesn't look at the market at all, and he just looks at BMW. He's like, we don't sell that many electric cars. Of course, you don't make that many. The only one you make is it's not that great. The BMW i3 would be great if it was priced as a BMW 1 Series. Because it's not that
Right.
much bigger. It's still a bit bigger than 1 Series, but it's not that much bigger. I mean, it doesn't have 4 full-size doors, for Christ's sake. You just have suicide doors, which some people think are cool. I personally don't think much of it.
If you get dropping off kids in the back, you don't think it's cool at all.
Yeah,
You got to open the front door to open the back
yeah,
door, and it's a mess.
you're right. So if it was priced as like a $25,000, $30,000 car, then it would be great. But at 40,000, it's so hard to sell, in my opinion. Though they still sell some in, especially in Norway. Norway, it's a good market for the i3.
Yeah, the guy's full of crap. It's just it's the civil war they're having at BMW, and he's clearly on the internal combustion side, and he's fighting his for his side, but I don't think he's gonna come out in the end. I don't think it's
No.
gonna be a good scene if BMW.
Yeah, they're
doesn't make
talking
some
about
changes.
replacing the CEO too, right? I've heard that this week. We reported on that a few weeks ago that he might be in danger of being replaced because he hasn't pushed enough on the EV front. But now we
Right.
heard this week that it's still very much being considered by the board.
Yep.
Never much like Kruger. Never been a big fan of what he's been saying about EVs. I think he's all talk, no action when it comes to EVs.
Yep.
The thing I remember, the thing I will remember most about Kruger
Passing
is
out.
going to be just after he passed out. Just after he passed out, he's still where was that? Was it the
There's some car show in
Frankfurt?
Germany. Yeah.
I think it was the Frankfurt show. After, yeah, he went on stage and he passed out. I mean, he was just named CEO. Was probably the biggest night of his life, and I cannot blame him for that. I mean, he probably was super nervous as a panic attack or something. I don't know what happened exactly, but I can understand that. But he rallied after that, and maybe not the same day, but the next day or something like that. He did walk the floor of the show, and Tesla at the time was at the show, and it was just when they brought the Model X for the first time in Europe. And it was his first time seeing MLS, and it was just a glorious, glorious moment that was filmed. And a long-time Tesla fan might remember this. If not, go see the video on Electrek. A German magazine, online magazine, car magazine, is filming. I don't remember his name right now, but he was the head of Tesla Germany at the time, or maybe Tesla Switzerland. I'm not sure. One of the head of Tesla in Europe was being filmed near the Model X prototype, or maybe not. No, it was an actual production car. It was 2016, I think. 2015, maybe 2015 or 2016. Model X was started production in 2015, ramp up in 2016. I think so. All right. Anyway, Model X is there. Tesla executive being filmed by a production magazine about the Model X. The Tesla exec sits down on the back seat of the Model X with the Falcon wing doors open, and he's being interviewed by the magazine guy. Randomly, Harold Kruger opens the Falcon wing door on the other side and sits down right next to this executive, because they're on the floor, they're on the show floor, so everyone is looking around and everything. And as he sits down, you realize, oh shit, there's an interview right next to me right now. And of course, the interviewer recognized Kruger. He's like, oh, Mr. Kruger. It's like, you're checking out the Model X. What do you think about the Model X? And then Kruger starts panicking because the Falcon wing door closed on him. So he makes a quick remark, like he flicked the back side of the front seat and said, oh, it looks plastic, it looks like a prototype or something like that. And the Texas executive is like, no, it's not a prototype. It's like, it's a real car and everything. And it's like, all right, I think it looks like a prototype. And he started pressing the button on the Falcon wing door to exit as soon as he can. The Falcon wing door starts opening, but one of his assistant, his handler, whatever, standing right outside of the Model X. So they block the Falcon wing door from fully opening. So as he's trying to exit to escape the interviewer right away, he just banged his head right on the Falcon wing door.
It was a rough time for him.
Straight on camera. I mean, it wasn't hurt or anything like that. It was just so funny. He was like, it's a prototype, to bang! He banged his head on the door. All right. Anyway, we're going to end the show on that. Go check out the video on the Electrek. Just search Tesla Model X BMW CEO. You're going to find it.
Yeah, I put it in
very
the room,
funny.
So.
You found it? You put it over there. Perfect. All right. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks a lot for watching on YouTube. You can subscribe. Hit the subscribe button or subscribe in your podcast app. Leave us a review and a thumbs up. That always helps a lot if you like this show. And if you do like this show, you're going to see us at the same time, same place next week. Is it next week? Is it July 4th? No, it's July 5th.
Thursday's July 4th. Yeah, it's July 5th.
July 5th. Are you still going to be able to make a show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. We're going to be there July 5th during your long weekend celebration. If you want to take some time to watch the Electrek Podcast, we're going to be there. All right. See you next time.